Episode 48, Release the Shoulders, Lighten the Load. Before you do anything else, I want you to do one thing. Right now, wherever you are, lift your shoulders up toward your ears and hold them there. Keep holding, take a breath. Now, let go. Notice where they landed. Were they already up close to your ears before you even started raising them? Most women I ask this question say yes. They've been holding their shoulders up around their ears so long that they stop noticing. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Tired of feeling stuck, unseen, or like your body isn't yours anymore? It's time for a reset. Welcome to An Ageless Life, the Midlife Reset Show, where science, movement, and mindset help you feel strong, energized, and like yourself. I'm Devi, a clinical pharmacist, Argentine tango dancer and instructor, and your guide for redefining how women thrive and grow in midlife and beyond. Let's get started.
I'm Devi. This is the Midlife Reset. We're in week 4 of the daily shift, Tango Inspired. It's 5 phases built from the ground up using what Argentine tango taught me about how the body actually comes alive, and a little bit of neuroscience, a little bit of woo, and a little bit of scientific stuff. So we're going to start with phase 1 was wake the body, and that's where you're really waking up the body for making it your best and really sharpening your brain. Next is loosen the hips so you can move through life, but also in just movement, not feeling stuck. Phase 3 was to really start to open up and free the spine. That impacts breath, and when it impacts breath, that also impacts how you move the spine. And today we are in phase 4, and that's about releasing the shoulders and lightening the load. And I want to talk about one of my clients, Catherine. She was a senior executive, 56 years old, absolutely at the top of her industry for, 15, 20 years. When she came to me, she said something I've heard 100 times, but in different words. She basically said, I carry everything and it's starting to weigh me down. She meant her company, her team, her aging parents, her adult children who were still calling her with their problems. And not that she minded, but it's just this added. And I asked her to show me how you stand. And she stood up, and her shoulders were here, practically at her ears. I asked her, how long have your shoulders been up there? She looked at me when I asked that question kind of strangely, and she said, well, I don't know. I didn't really notice that they were up there. I guess they've been like this for years. And I get that answer a lot. Years. The shoulders are where we put everything we can't put down. And a midlife woman who runs things, that's a lot. As I talked about before, the company, the team, family logistics, the invisible mental load that never gets put on the agenda. And your shoulders have volunteered for the job. Nobody assigned them, and they are exhausted. Catherine's shoulders were up, but I want to name the other pattern too, because not everybody carries it in the same way. Some women brace up, they raise their shoulders up to the ears, bracing for whatever is going to come next. And some women collapse forward, they round their shoulders, closing the chest. It's the same exhaustion, but it just takes a different shape. The rounded shoulders forward is the body saying exactly what Catherine's body was saying. I have had enough. I need a break. And when the chest closes, breathing gets more shallow. And a shallow breath tells the nervous system something is wrong. It's almost that we're not really in the flight fright phase, but we're kind of warming up to it, and we need to be somewhat on the ready. Your body is trying to rest, ends up more on the edge before. Does that make sense? You ask for relief, but your breath says danger. Your nervous system believes how you're breathing. Whether your shoulders are up in your ears or rounded forward, the result is the same. The breath changes, it gets smaller. The body stays on. What we're doing today works for both. Here's what's really going on in your body. There is a muscle that runs from the base of your skull down through your shoulders into your upper back. For those of you that like to know names of things, that's called the trapezius muscle. And you can just think of it as this triangle that connects the bottom of your skull in the back through your shoulders into the upper back. And so it has this shape to it. If you can't see what I'm doing, if you're listening, it's kind of like a triangle shape. And when you are stressed, they contract. And that's normal. That's what they're designed to do. They're designed to be able to help you run if you need to or do whatever in order to stay alive. The problem is chronic stress doesn't have a switch off. And that's what we're really missing here is that switch off. So these muscles stay contracted and tight. And when it stays tight for years and years, or maybe months, or maybe it's just weeks, but it starts the pattern weeks to months to years, then a few things start to happen. Your neck starts to pull forward and your head follows. You've seen that it's almost like you're craning your neck forward. And if you take a look from the side view, you can see it really well. Are your ears lined up with your shoulder, or is your head way far forward? And as that happens, then the breath gets more shallow. And that's because the upper chest is basically braced and supporting everything with the neck and the head forward. The arms start to lose their ability to naturally swing. In tango, we immediately notice when a partner's shoulders are up. We can feel it through the connection. The whole way that the hands touch and the arms feels a lot more rigid and stiff, and things don't move freely. Your body is bracing for something that isn't there anymore. And that's because your arms can't respond and your breath gets short. That's what years of chronic shoulder tightness or tension do. When you're bracing for a meeting that ended 3 months ago, but you're still there. So phase 4 has 6 movements associated with them, and you can do them with me right now. You can stand up, you can do them seated, you can do them when you're walking. The first one is something that we've all done before, and it's simply a shoulder roll. So you're just rolling your shoulders forward in these full circles. Now, what I want to add to this is that this is more of an exploration. We're not forcing anything. We're just kind of letting them roll naturally, and let your arms go where they will. And you want to do that 5 times forward. Of course, you want to breathe while you're doing it. And then we're going to do it 5 times backwards. Again, it's that exploration, letting the arms just go where they want to go. Generally you want it to be a little bit on the slower side, and you just want to let it happen. And noticing, does one side feel tighter or looser than the other? And again, this is about observation. And what most people say is that, yeah, the left feels different than the right. Now we're going to do wrist circles. And it's the same kind of thing with the shoulders, except you just take the hand at the wrist, and you just turn them in gentle circles around. And then you go the other direction. And then we're going to circle at the elbow. So you're bending at the elbow. You're making, as if you're like when you're washing something, right? You make this big circle around and you do it with both of the elbows. Your weight is on both feet, planted on the floor. You're breathing. And then just let your arms hang down to the side. Kind of swing a little bit, shift your weight from one side to the other, and breathe. This one surprises people. The arms are supposed to swing when you walk. And you'll notice that a lot of times that movement is very small, if it's not at all. And that comes because our arms are basically in meeting mode. They're typing, they're managing stuff, the swing is gone. And when the arms naturally swing, the upper body opens up and the shoulders drop. That's what we've just activated. And oh, by the way, your breath deepens. The last one or the third one that I want to talk about is just head turning from right to left. And we're just, this again, it's an exploration. Feet planted on the floor. You can do this sitting in a chair and turn from one side to the other. Just looking over like the right shoulder and to the left shoulder. And again, as with all of these, if you have an injury or something going on, that you have a restriction of movement, if you feel any pain or any kind of restriction, let it go. Stop it at that point. This is about you exploring the motion. It's not about you forcing anything to happen. We're just looking to see how it is from one side to the other. An exploration, as I mentioned before. The next one is the eye reset, which sounds a little bit strange, but this resets a bunch of things in your body. For those of you who want the technical term, it's a vagus nerve reset. I'm going to start by looking straight ahead, and then you just explore how far you can go to the right. And stay there and take a breath, and then come back to the center and turn your head over to the left shoulder. And take a breath. And now we're going to repeat that same thing, but you're just going to move your eyes. Sounds kind of weird, I know, but we're going to just look. And sometimes I put my finger in front of my face and I just use that to help guide my eyes. We're going to go over to the right and stay there until you have a breath, kind of like, almost like a sigh. And come back to center and then go over to the left. And come back to center. Now we're going to repeat the head turn exercise. And notice there'll be a difference in your range of motion. And I'm always super surprised about how much it is. And again, for you, it may not be that much. This is not about a comparison. This is about you being able to feel what's going on, being able to sense. And noticing the difference, that's step 5, is actually noticing that. And this you can use anywhere, anytime. If you're at your desk and you've been typing a lot and you feel like everything is really tight and stiff, this is a great one to do. And quite frankly, you can do it anywhere. No one is going to notice you turning your head from side to side. And this changes and registers something different in your brain. Because what happens is this exercise has a calming effect on your body and on your brain and your nervous system. And when your body feels this, your brain files it away and starts to say, hey, we have more options here. We've got another way to do things. This is something else that is part of the reset, is noticing how things change. And the last one, again, if you have neck issues or restriction in mobility, this is one that I would be very careful with. Or if you've been told not to do these movements, please respect that. Respect your body. I'm just going to slightly, again, I'm sitting either on a chair with my legs straight and on the floor, or I'm standing with my legs hip width apart. And I just tilt my right ear over my right shoulder. And I'm just noticing, and I'm taking a breath. And if that's a good stretch for you, great. Again, we want to pay attention. We want to feel. If that's too much, come back up. For some of us, we may need a little bit more. So I'm going to take my left arm and stretch it out away from my body. And again, gentle, really noticing and paying attention to what's going on and breathing. And I lower the arm, bring the head back up, and then I do it to the other side. I generally only hold about 5 seconds. For some of you, you may feel the pull all the way from your fingertips all the way up to the neck. Others of you may not notice it as much, especially if you don't put the arm down, you may not, or out, you may not notice it. But feeling it in the neck, especially from the base of the skull to the shoulder, and just breathing and just letting that be. Again, relaxing into that stretch rather than forcing anything. In Tango, we have a concept called the embrace. It sounds soft, but it has a texture to it. The embrace is I guess the envelope is the way that I would say, of which everything else moves through. That's the way that we connect with our partners. So my partner can feel what my body is doing through the embrace. And when you're dancing with someone, if your shoulders are locked, all you feel is stiffness and restriction. You don't have that yummy texture as to what's going on, but you also don't get communication as to what it is that the other person is doing. It sends a message almost of, I'm not available to connect with you. When these shoulders are in, they're soft, they're not relaxed, but they're soft, and the arms can move naturally, the head can turn. That sends an entirely different message. It says, I'm here with you. I can lead or I can follow. I'm not bracing against anything. I'm here to be with you. And that's what I've noticed in the 40 years of clinical pharmacy and the 20-some years in Argentine tango, that many women carry the most in their life, also braces the hardest in their body. Let me say that again. Women who carry the most in life also brace the hardest in their body. What I mean by that is when you are carrying a heavy emotional, financial, work, family, all of those kinds of loads, a lot of times we brace for it and we take on that burden or that role or that job through the shoulders. And we can feel that we're carrying that burden. Sometimes it's our burden, sometimes it's not. But to be able to take a break from that and really relax and have your nervous system reset changes everything. And you can't really think your way out of this pattern. You have to move your way out of it. That's what phase 4 is about. So Catherine came back after about a week and a half, and she said, I did the shoulder rolls every morning all week. So I asked her, what was different? She just said, my assistant asked me if I was okay. She said, I seemed lighter. Catherine hadn't told anyone what she was doing. She'd roll her shoulders for 5 minutes every morning or whenever she felt like she needed to. Her body changed how she walked into a room. And that's what this does. Not because it's magic, because you broadcast everything that you feel to everyone in the world through your body. And when you stop bracing, people notice before you do. If you're somewhere in this story, I'd love to talk with you. It's not a sales talk, it's a conversation. Bringing what you're carrying, and we'll look at it together. The link is in the show notes, as well as the link for the YouTube, which will also have the video portion associated with it. For those of you who want to actually see what it is that I've talked about in this podcast episode. Bye for now.
That's it for this reset. Thank you for spending this time with me. If today's episode gave you something to think about, I'd love to have you subscribe so you never miss what's next. And remember to grab your free gift, your Midlife Superpower, 5 simple power moves to feel like yourself again. The address for this is, or link is, anagelesslife.com/superpower. Thanks again. Bye-bye.